we have adopted blockchain into our processes, which has further strengthened transparency as well as the trust among our donors.
Welcome to the ReThink Desi Reframe Series podcast, where we highlight the voices and experiences of change makers working towards social equity within the South Asian community. In each episode, we interview people who are leading the way in areas such as education, healthcare, social justice, art, and entrepreneurship. I'm Arpita Sharma, your host and co-founder of ReThink Desi, a project to unpack what it means to be South Asian locally and globally. Imagine a world where technology and trees come together to combat climate change and deforestation. In this week's episode, we talked to Apurva Bhandari, who is one of the founders of Sankalp Taru Foundation, a tech-enabled nonprofit whose mission is to promote sustainable development and preserve the natural environment through community engagement, education, and implementing innovative techniques. Users can choose to plant a tree, proceed to pay for it, and the organization will plant and provide users with a geo-tracker which has the tree's live location on a Google Map. Get ready for an interesting conversation on this week's episode of the Reframe series. Yeah, I'm so glad to have you. And I'd love to have us get started by asking you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came up with this really interesting idea?
So I was born and raised in the Mystic Himalayas, a small town. So I've seen the treasure of Mother Nature very closely, I would say. So I've seen mountains, rivers, then snow-clad hills, lakes, forests. So that really developed some kind of my affection towards Mother Nature. And then I moved away a bit from Himalayas to pursue my studies as well as to pursue my career. So I have done masters in business administration in oil and gas management, and then I started my career with a Fortune 500 company called Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited here in India. And then I moved into IT, worked briefly, then US for a while before I thought I would just get back to my roots and then serve nature as well as people. So that's about me. And the organization I belong to, Sankalp Taru Foundation, as the name suggests, Sankalp is a pledge, Taru is a tree. So everyone takes a pledge to plant a tree. And we believe this pledge is so strong that people who plant trees remotely with us, they stay connected because we have developed this platform in a way that it's very transparent and people can plant trees online with us. And then we share details about their plantation, the photograph, the geotag, the location on the Google Earth with them. And subsequently how the tree is doing, we share the updates about the program. So that way, yes, Sankalp Taru has made a good progress so far in planting more than 4 million trees across India. And we are operational across 26 states. It's about the organization.
How did someone who kind of developed their career originally like with oil and gas become kind of someone who started this or as part of like the founding group of this?
That's a very interesting question and FAQ as well for me because I'm asked this question very, very frequently. So as I said, my inclination towards Mother Nature has been so strong that I felt that the crisis of global warming, climate change, various sorts of pollution, be it air pollution or others, right? It's going to be really, really a mammoth challenge in front of everyone. So I thought that let me be there on the other side of the table, try to mitigate it. So that's how my journey started, and I thought, okay, it's a high time to really start, efforts related to environmental.
Is it rare to see people like you who have kind of left that line of work and started these organizations, or have you found there are other people who do it as well?
So yes, I believe there are a lot of change makers now who have been doing trying to do their bit. And because, as I said, the task or the challenge in front of us is quite mammoth, right? Be it global warming, climate change, health related issues, or anything else. So certainly, it requires attention from all walks of the life, and as well as contributions coming in from everywhere. And yes, I've been coming across a lot of people who have taken that plunge and rolled out these interesting initiatives to beat some of those challenges which I mentioned earlier.
Thank you for sharing that. I would have never known had we not had this conversation. I think one of the things that I found really intriguing about your organization was that not just that it uses kind of this innovative technique in doing the geo tracking, but that it also is really trying to collaborate and work with local communities in different areas that are kind of very difficult to be able to reach. So can you please share a little bit about that?
Right. So I'll just quickly maybe connect it with the vision of Sankaltaru, why we started it, what all challenges we have perceived that point of time when we conceived this idea, and then how we are now connecting all the dots together. So we've always felt that tree plantation activity is always perceived as one-time activity where people gather at some place and then plant trees, click their photographs, but then they don't get to know what happened to that particular plant which they have planted, and subsequent updates are missing, or that small little sapling is never nurtured. So most of the cases it dies. So we thought, could there be a very organized platform where people can make the contribution remotely? At that point of time, we saw people, growing their virtual gardens on Farmville. We thought, could there be a realistic Farmville as well in form of Sankaltaru, where people not only plant a virtual tree, but then this tree actually gets planted on ground, and then they get to see the photograph of the tree, the subsequent updates around that tree, the program. So we created this platform called sankaltaru.org. Then coming to the locations where we plant, we thought, could we really make a difference to the lives of people? India being a very biodiverse country, which has Himalayas or the cold desert and up in the north, in Leh Ladakh, which has the hot desert of Thar in the west, which has a long coastline on the south, and then deltas on the eastern part of it, in Sundarbans and West Bengal. So we really wanted to have our programs across these places and give an opportunity to our donors to really plant trees across these biodiverse places, be it coast, plateaus, mountains, deserts, and all. And then really make an impact on ground by planting these trees, because these are the places which are devoid of greenery sometimes when it comes to plateaus or the cold or hot desert. So we thought, if we really plant trees there through the contribution of people who are making online donations or planting virtually trees with us, if we can actually plant these trees in these places, which can make an impact to the livelihood of people, that would be really great. Because if you plant a tree in a public park and it grows, definitely it contributes to environment positively. But if you plant the same tree on some farmer's land, and it's a mango tree and it grows, not only it contributes to the environment, but it also contributes to the livelihood of the farmer, or the beneficiary whom we select. So that way we have been supporting not only the environmental parameters or the environmental impact we have been making, but we have been making a socioeconomic impact as well through these trees by planting them at very biodiverse places. And then, yes, this program has been creating a great impact. Now, coming to the challenges, the last part of your question. Yes, when you operate in these terrains, be it when I'll just give you example of suppose Thar Desert where we are operating. So the temperature is sometime in fact 50 degrees Celsius during summers, and this year in winters, to our surprise, it in fact was below 0 degrees centigrade. Same place, so it's very difficult to really operate. One is keep your team motivated who nurtures those trees, and then of course to nurture trees as well is really challenging at those places. But kudos to our entire team, which comes from various background, various diverse places across India. We've been able to nurture all the saplings which we plant with all the care. And that's one. Second is you asked me a question like how technology really helps us in operating. So geotagging feature is something which really brings in transparency to the entire process. Of course, when we started in 2012, there was the internet penetration in India in remote places was not that great. So our mobile app, which geotags trees, used to fail. So we thought of if we could have a mobile app feature which can really operate in offline mode as well without dependency on internet connectivity. We developed it that way. Now, in fact, now we have good internet connectivity everywhere, but I'm talking about 7-8 years back. So we had tried to beat that challenge through some innovations around our technological processes. So which has really helped us. So that's how it is. But we keep on evolving. We keep on adding newer and newer features, bringing in newer and newer technological innovations, which really help us in scaling our operations.
Delving into a little bit of these things. So I'd love to know, how did you develop partnerships with the local farmers when you were developing the concept for this? Because I find the partnership between technology and community groups so interesting. I don't often see it done, and at least in my context. So yeah, I'm really intrigued by that.
We have been bringing technology very closer to the cause, and that is really helping us in going to some of the remotest places as well. So I'll just give you a use case. Suppose our beneficiary selection criteria is something where we look for farmer beneficiaries who really need some support to earn a livelihood. That's one. Second is by planting trees in those locations, we can also make an environmental impact, be it the air quality, be it groundwater table, be it other factors as well, which contribute to the environment or bring up those factors. So that way, we do identify such places. We do identify beneficiaries residing at such places. So their technology really helps us. We have this mobile app which does survey, which really helps us doing analysis of that place. How is the agroclimatic conditions at those places? Then what is the availability of water, supporting factors to nurture a tree, because nurturing a tree is really important for us. It's not just about planting. So technology helps us in doing those surveys, and then once we have identified these beneficiaries, again technology helps us in executing programs, where because information technology or IT is one part of it, but Sankalp Taru really believes in executing programs on ground with technological excellence, which is our on ground technology, be it installing irrigation systems which run on solar power, completely on renewable, or having micro drip irrigation system which make use of each and every drop of water without putting much stress on the water resources around it. So that way, I would say technology is really making a difference in managing these programs and identifying those beneficiaries.
I'd love to know more about this. I think just overall, because it's such a unique collaboration between technology and community in that way. So when the website was first launched in 2012, it kind of developed as this platform, and you were developing out the different mechanisms that you could use to track the tree planting. Now it's been over a decade since this organization has been around. And congratulations, that's a huge feat for any organization. So what has your experience been like going through all of the stages of growth for Sankalp Daru Foundation?
Okay. So yes, it has been a decade old journey, growing along with the trees. I would say, we were just like a seed, and now we are branching out in form of a grown up tree. So that's the tree analogy we always believe in. So when it comes to planting and nurturing trees, there are always challenges. And yes, as I mentioned, India is a biodiverse country. So not only biodiversity in terms of flora and fauna, but then this country has diversity, linguistic diversity, cultural diversity, then geographical diversity as well. So if you go from one state to other, the language also changes. So those kind of challenges were also there. We were a small team, and then conversing with the farmer beneficiaries in their vernacular language, or regional language, was always a challenge. But as we have always believed in keeping this mission going with the spirit of by the people for the people, we have received a lot of participation from people, be it volunteers, be it finding full-time colleagues for Sankaltaru, who have been really helpful and helping us in breaking these barriers, as I mentioned, linguistic or cultural or others. So that's one great achievement I believe we have made so far, in terms of connecting all the dots together. And of course, nonprofits have their own challenges, because now a lot of startups in India or worldwide are now doing a phenomenal job, right? Conceiving an idea and then scaling it to a greater level. I'm talking about the for-profit startups. But for non-profit initiatives, it's very, very difficult, because you don't have any venture capitalist or funding available, VC funding available. So it's a very challenging job to really scale, because you don't know where to focus more on your operations or focus more on your fundraising. But we have been able to make a difference because of adoption of technology, I believe, because that has really, really created trust among our donors that yes, here is the nonprofit which will share details about my plantations, post plantations, and keep me updated about it, which really believes in making a difference to lives of people by planting in some of the difficult terrain. So that trust we have been able to build through adoption of technology. So I would say these are two or three key factors which have really made a difference in last decade, and has brought Sankalp to this level where it is now little grown-up tree and branching out to various places.
That's really great. Have you run into kind of the challenges with the technological aspects of the app? So, for example, with things like geo-trackers, like I can imagine how difficult it might actually be to track each individual user who is donating to the platform, and then be able to manage for their particular sampling that you planted for them. Kind of, keeping a database, especially over a decade, I'm sure is a very difficult kind of thing to be able to do. So can you tell us about how that process works for your organization and how you've been able to manage it?
So yes, our operations on ground have really grown in manifold in last decade. Now we have been planting millions of trees, in fact, every year, and then we have very aggressive plans as well for years to come, because as I mentioned, that challenge of global warming and climate change needs to be fought with greater scale. So in that proportion, we have scaled our technological operations as well, or have strengthened our processes. As I mentioned earlier, our mobile app used to fail in no network zones, and then we came up with uh, some of the innovations around it. Certainly, every year we have been raising the bar ourselves to meet the expectations of our donors. So I'll just give you one example. Suppose last year we have adopted blockchain into our processes, which has further strengthened transparency as well as the trust among our donors. So every tree which we plant, we always thought, okay, that has been geotagged, but then how to really give or add further credibility, and then tell our donors that every tree which you have been planting with us is really unique, and we can't really edit any data. It's not that we are planting a tree and then geotagging it again and again. We introduced this blockchain initiative, so that they are doubly assured that each tree which they have planted has been geotagged, and all these geo references are unique in the system, which can be verified by going to a blockchain registry, which is sitting outside Sankaltaru's domain. So we can't really edit that. So some of these initiatives we have been rolling out to meet the growing expectations of our donors. I'm sure donors who are away from us, especially overseas, would love to see these initiatives, and would really not only give them, this will offer a platform to them to plant trees virtually with more confidence and trust.
That's really great. For those in our audience who might not really understand blockchain very well, could you tell us kind of a little bit about what blockchains are and how they work?
So blockchain is something where basically, crude language, it is like a very unique chain which has data sets very well defined. So suppose if we have information, like if you have planted a tree, so you would receive information from some saying that, hey, your tree was planted on so and so at so and so location, which has the geo coordinates in terms of longitude and latitude. With these values, this tree was planted on so and so date. These are all data points, the location, the geo coordinates, the date when you planted, the species, the variety of tree which you have planted, be it mango, guava, or coconut trees also. That's again one reference point. Then you have on whose field it was planted, the beneficiary. So this is complete, basically data points. So what we are trying to do is we are putting this piece of information on the blockchain network, and once you publish this data, then this data assures our donors that it can't be changed. Later, we can't go there and then change. Suppose we can't change Arpita's trees to someone else's tree. So those changes are not possible. That's one. And there's no duplicacy in data as well. Every detail about the tree is unique. So if you have planted a tree with Sankaltaru, so you will receive this piece of information which is not available in a duplicate form, or has been replicated in the same blockchain elsewhere. So that's how it is unique, as well as it is unmutable as well.
As you were sharing earlier, sometimes the survival rate of planting a tree is not always high. And so in these instances, when you are planting the trees, how do you assure that they're, that they have actually made it and are like now plants? And if something does happen to them over time, do you also input that sort of information into the blockchain?
Right. So as soon as the tree is planted, we upload it, and then no further alterations are made to the data. That's one. But we are thinking of now creating a separate chain with more data, so that people know what happened to their tree later. So that's something, extension of this initiative would come in few. Sooner. That's one. As far as the survival rate is concerned, we work very closely with the farmers or the beneficiaries who on whose land we plant trees. So we really keep them motivated. So there are a lot of interventions, social interventions which we adopt to, or there could be technological interventions as well, as I told about the on ground operational technology which we adhere to. So that really helps us in creating this self enthusiastic and self sustainable model in place, so that because the incentive for the farmer is that if they really take care of trees nicely, they earn livelihood through it, because all the trees which will survive will bear fruits and they can sell it to the market. So that really builds that ecosystem which is very self enthusiastic and sustainable as well. So that we have been able to achieve through technological adoption on ground, as well as having some interventions in place by keeping the beneficiaries motivated. So that's how this program has been working so far. Yeah.
I'd love to know, what are some of the lessons that you've learned in such an innovative space?
Right. So some of the lessons which we have learned is, if you have to really beat the mammoth size of climate change and global warming, as I said earlier as well, technology is really, really going to help us in this process. So because we have to really increase the speed of planting trees, we have to increase the momentum of fighting against these challenges. So one is technology adoption. Second is the youth. They need to be empowered. Now, we call it green quotient in our parlance, GQ. So we have been seeing a great shift where now a lot of youngsters are coming forward. They are really, really concerned about the challenges which I mentioned, and they really want to save the planet. They really want to come forward, be part of these initiatives in much earlier stage of their career. So we have seen people like who realize later that they should be doing something for the planet as well. But here the responsibility has been felt by these youngsters at very, very early. So we believe that these youth should be empowered. They should be given more autonomy. They should be enabled with all the action which I'm talking about, right? To take care of planet. That's second. Third is, yes, if we have to really make this mission successful, participation from all walks of life, all sort of people is going to make a difference. As I mentioned earlier as well, Sankalpam is a mission which really believes in making a difference by the people for the people. So it's not only that we get more donors and we get more funding, then it's going to make a difference. No, it's something, we get more donors, we get more volunteers who execute these programs on ground with all passion, and then we get more and more beneficiaries who get impacted through our program, or who really nurture these trees on ground. So all the stakeholders, their involvement, their participation is going to make a difference. So I believe, yes, these three factors are quite important in this aspect.
Thank you for sharing that. And I definitely feel that for a lot of the younger generation, the issues around climate change do feel like they're one of the most important, because it does, and I think we can see it in India a lot, where air pollution is such a major issue. There, we see the direct consequences as a result of climate change and its impact on the environment that we all live in. So, for our audience members who might want to connect with you to learn more about your work, either volunteer or purchase trees or invest, how might they be able to get in touch with you? And also, I'll speak on behalf of the NRI donors. Like, if they would like to regularly donate, what can you tell us a little bit about kind of what that rollout might look like in the future?
Okay. So, yes, again, going with the same philosophy, by the people, for the people, definitely we require support from people across the globe in various forms. So, donors can really make a difference by planting trees online by visiting sankaltaru.org website. And it takes only few clicks to plant a tree. And they can plant trees on various occasions, greet people as well, birthdays, marriage anniversaries, service anniversaries, so many things, so many reasons to celebrate with trees. So that's one thing. Volunteers who really wish to be part of this initiative, volunteer remotely, want to come on ground and then really make a difference, they can join us as volunteer. We have a separate volunteer page or a program on our website. That's second. Then third is we are now shortly launching a fellowship program, which will be hosted at our R&D center in Uttarakhand. So we would be glad to host some of very innovative folks who want to try new things, innovative things or experiment anything to really develop sustainable solutions to serve and save the planet. They're also welcome to join as a fellow. And then, yes, we are looking for people who wish to join our team full time. So we have career section as well on our website. And yes, sooner we have these passionate set of people in various form. I believe with greater momentum, we'll be able to fight global warming and climate change.
And then I know off of the podcast, we talked a little bit about future ways that donors might be able to donate from outside of India with PayPal. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So, yes, soon PayPal will be launching their payment gateway services to make donations to India-based NGOs, and we are going to be their launch partner. So I believe in a couple of months it would be rolled out, using which people can plant trees using their PayPal wallets. Or since PayPal has that reputation of seamlessly integrating various payment touch points together, be it your credit card or international debit cards. So that would come as a hassle-free experience to our donors. And then, of course, there would be a feature around recurring donations so that people can plant trees regularly with us on monthly or annual basis. So that's something there on the plate as well, to be rolled out soon.
Thank you for joining us today for this conversation with our guest. If you would like to connect with our guest or check out their work, please go to the link provided in the show notes in the caption. If you learned anything from this conversation or are enjoying the podcast, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. That is a wonderful zero-cost way to support us. Also, please subscribe to the podcast on both Spotify and Apple. And on both of them, you can leave us up to a 5-star review. If you have any questions that you would like to ask me about the podcast or any guests you would like me to have on in future episodes, please leave them in the comments below or DM me on Instagram at our ReThink Desi account. And with that, I hope you have a wonderful day, folks.